Let me tell you, you don't really know what rage looks like until you've had someone like Vivian Ashworth scream at you through a truck window, veins popping, sunglasses halfway down her nose, hair flying wild as she gestures at a row of $685,000 oceanfront homes like she owns the whole coastline. And in her head, she probably does. She's yelling about families with real children and how some demolition thug like me is out to destroy their dream, all while the Pacific throws up whitecaps in the background and the sun goes down behind cranes that look like they're just waiting for someone to give the signal. The crazy thing is, Vivian had no clue she was threatening a guy whose entire job is literally to take things apart, safely, precisely, by the book. I'm Brock Steelridge, 41, 15 years tearing down everything from strip malls to oil platforms. And that patch of coastal real estate Vivian was losing her mind over? I bought it, fair and square, at a federal auction after the feds seized it from a cartel. No inheritance, no family legacy, just a bank account I drained to the bone and a hell of a lot of risk. See, I'd poured everything I had, every dime I'd saved, a chunk of life insurance from my late wife, Sarah, and a big scary loan, into that land. It was supposed to be our forever place. The spot we'd retire and watch the sunsets without the sound of jackhammers. Instead, I spent 18 months in hurricane country, swinging wrecking balls in Louisiana and trying to forget how it felt to lose Sarah to a crane accident that still haunts my dreams. When I came back, thinking I'd find my slice of redwood paradise by the Pacific, there it was, a shiny development. Perfectly manicured lawns, infinity pools, and a gate announcing Ocean View Estates. Like I'd stumbled into a parallel universe where my name didn't matter and my investment was just a rumor. What Vivian didn't realize, and what I sure as hell wasn't ready to let slide, was that this wasn't just some paperwork screw-up. This was a piece of a $200 million conspiracy running from HOA boards all the way up to state senators, maybe even higher. They'd built a whole town on land the government still technically owned, and now they were banking on me folding because they had connections, lawyers, and that good old boys network. But I'm not wired to just roll over. Here's the wild twist. I got that land thanks to a DEA bust on a cartel using the coastline for everything, from smuggling to money laundering. The feds auctioned it, and I barely edged out a bunch of developers because, get this, Hurricane Laura made all the big companies chase guaranteed contracts. Elsewhere, my win wasn't luck, it was the universe's weird way of lining things up. I left a property manager to babysit, paid taxes, got pictures every month showing nothing but trees and ocean. Or so I thought. Walking back into Ocean View Estates, seeing families at the playground, sales offices buzzing, homes still going up, it was like watching a heist happen in slow motion. And the folks pulling the strings? Vivian Ashworth, platinum blonde, Mercedes with vanity plates, and a beach outfit that cost more than my truck. Her husband? Judge Harrison Ashworth, who signed off on every shady legal move. The real kicker? They'd created their LLC and filed adverse possession claims right after I left, using fast-tracked permits, dirty title companies, and a political cover-up that ran so deep, even the sheriff was on their payroll. If you think that's wild, just wait. I started digging. Old cases in Malibu, Monterey Bay, Santa Barbara, all the same pattern. Properties seized by the feds, owners absent, claims filed, houses built and sold before anyone could blink. Every single time, elderly folks, veterans, small business owners lost. Everything while these crooks made millions. It wasn't just local greed, it was a family business. Politicians, lawyers, even the title company was run by the district attorney's sister. Bribes everywhere. Political donations dressed up as campaign finance. These people had turned property theft into a science. I was just a demolition guy. But now, I was up against an operation that had ruined lives, destroyed families, and figured they could bully me into walking away. They sent the HOA after me, fined me for trespassing on my own land, painted me as a vagrant and a danger to kids on Facebook, even targeted my son at college, and tried to get my demolition licenses pulled. They trashed my business, slashed my contracts, and threatened my family. The last straw was a death threat referencing Sarah. That's when I realized I was dealing with monsters who wouldn't stop until I was broken or gone. So here's the question I had to ask myself, and I want you to think about it too. If someone stole your future, built their life on your loss, tried to crush your family, then called you the villain, what would you do? Drop your answer in the comments. Because what I did changed everything. Turns out, federal law never gave up jurisdiction on that land. Any construction there? Federal crime. And thanks to my lawyer, Marcus, and a gold mine of emails we dug up, the whole operation came crashing down. FBI wiretaps, RICO charges. The feds froze their assets, halted home sales, shut down construction, and turned Vivian's world upside down. I'll never forget the look on her face in court. All her privilege, all her power, suddenly meaningless as the truth came out. Judge Ashworth got hauled off for corruption. Senator Blackstone and her husband, the shadowy financier behind it all, got indicted. The HOA board got wiped out. Even the title company lost their license. But justice isn't clean, and it's never simple. There were families, good people, kids, retirees, who bought those homes, put down roots, and woke up one morning to find out their dream was someone else's nightmare. At the emergency meeting, I saw their fear, heard their stories. A mom who moved for her daughter's asthma, a retired couple who'd sold everything for one last shot at the ocean, a kid who drew a picture begging me not to. Take our house. It hit me hard. I could bulldoze everything, watch the world burn, or I could try to fix it. So we worked out something nobody expected. Families could buy their homes at cost. No profits for the crooks. And the model home, where Vivian held court, I demolished that one personally, live on TV, to show everyone what happens when you build your empire on lies. The rest of the houses stayed. No innocent kids lost their beds. My reputation? Restored. My family. Healing. And the money I got back? I put it into a foundation to help folks fighting the same kind of crooked scams, to make sure this mess never happens again. That's the thing about justice. Sometimes it's a sledgehammer. Sometimes it's a scalpel. You've got to know what to destroy and what to protect. Now, every year, we hold a conference on that very property, not to remember what was lost, but to celebrate what was saved and to remind folks that as long as there are people willing to stand up, justice has a fighting chance. So what would you have done in my shoes? Was mercy the right move, or should I have taken it all back no matter the cost? Let me know down below. And if you think stories like this matter, give it a like and share your own. Because this is America, and if we don't protect each other, who will? You know, I figured when that excavator's bucket punched through the Ashworth's marble foyer, cameras rolling, the crowd holding its breath, that'd be the moment I finally felt peace. Truth is, there's no satisfaction in watching someone's whole life plan crumble, even if they built it out of lies. But justice has a way of forcing your hand, especially when you're up against people who never thought they'd lose. After that day, everything changed. The headlines were wild. Demolition Man topples corrupt empire. But the real story was Messier. See, once the feds swept in, froze accounts, and handed down indictments, Ocean View Estates wasn't just a news item. It was a disaster zone of emotions. You had families clutching title deeds, praying their mortgage payments weren't just smoke, and kids worrying if they'd have to say goodbye to the only home they'd ever known. Federal Judge Margaret Stone, all calm and steel-gray hair, held court in a room packed tighter than a sardine can. Families on one side, prosecutors and defense on the other, every face drawn and anxious. She didn't pull any punches. This isn't just about land, folks. It's about trust, community, and the kind of country we're trying to build. You could almost hear the collective gulp. Then came the legal brawl over remedies. Some lawyers argued for complete demolition, wipe the slate, make an example. Others wanted every family to get a government buyout and let the land sit empty as a warning. Me? I was done being the villain in someone else's fairy tale, but I wasn't about to let crime pay, either. That's when Tyler, yeah, my son, the same kid they tried to smear at college, stood up during a community meeting, voice a little shaky, but his jaw set. Why not let us buy our homes at cost, he said. No profit for the criminals, but no ruined families either. Let's build something honest out of all this mess. I swear, you could hear jaws drop. The idea took hold like wildfire. Families, lawyers, even some of the prosecutors, they all started seeing a new path forward. Meanwhile, Vivian tried every trick in the book: emergency appeals, press conferences, even crocodile tears for the cameras. but nobody was buying it anymore. The judge gave the Ashworths and Blackstones their day in court, but when the emails came out, showing they'd known from day one this was federal seizure. Land, and built anyway, hoping to outrun the law, that was it. Sentencing came down hard. Years behind bars, millions in restitution, professional lives ended in a blink. But the hardest part was sitting down with the families. Some of them looked at me like I was their savior, others like I might bulldoze their world with a phone call. I remember Sarah Chun, tears streaming, clutching her daughter's inhaler. "Thank you," she whispered, "for not making my child pay for someone else's crimes." And I thought about Sarah, my Sarah, and what she'd say about mercy and second chances. That's what pushed me to keep fighting for the deal that would let these families stay, but make sure the crooks walked away with nothing. The deal became real. The government agreed to let families buy at build cost, and every cent of dirty profit got clawed back. The Steel Ridge Foundation grew overnight, and suddenly, I was getting calls from people all over the country, folks whose property lines mysteriously moved, whose HOA board was just following orders. We started tracking dirty developers, teaching families how to spot the red flags, and backing them up with real legal muscle. I'll tell you, nothing feels better than giving folks hope when the systems failed them. But not everyone was happy. Local news spun it every which way. One night, a guy cornered me outside the hardware store, spat on the ground and snarled, "You should have bulldozed the whole place. Make them start over." That's the thing with justice. Nobody ever agrees what's enough or what's too much. Some saw me as the destroyer, some as the hero. Truth? I was just a stubborn fool who couldn't let go of what mattered. The real twist came a few months later. A young woman, Amanda Foster, the mom with the asthmatic daughter, showed up at my office with a stack of files. "I started digging into our deed history," she said, "and found 2 more coastal projects with the same pattern: old owners gone, rushed paperwork, big campaign donations. Turns out, the Ashworth-Blackstone ring was just the biggest fish, not the only one. The FBI called it a gold mine. That evidence kicked off 2 more federal cases, and those victims finally got their day in court too. Now, every spring, we hold a little ceremony down by the water. I stand with Tyler and the families who stayed, the kids who grew up believing in second chances. I still run my demolition business. There's always another building that needs taking down, another mess that needs clearing, but now, my real job is making sure nobody else gets steamrolled by the powerful and the greedy. And if you're wondering about Vivian, last I heard, she's doing 6 years, her fortune gone. Her mansion turned into a shelter for folks who lost everything to crooked developers. Karma's got a sense of humor, doesn't it? So let me leave you with this. Would you have swung the wrecking ball, knowing you might shatter innocent lives just to get back what was yours? Or would you have tried to save what could be saved, even if it meant letting some wounds scar over instead of heal perfect? Justice is never simple, and mercy is never easy. Drop your take in the comments. Do you think I made the right call? Or should I have leveled it all and let the dust settle where it may? And hey, if you've ever tangled with crooked HOAs, shady land deals, or just have a story about fighting back when the odds were stacked, I want to hear it. Smash that like button, subscribe for more real-life justice stories, and don't forget, sometimes the biggest demolition job is tearing down corruption, not just concrete. Tomorrow, who knows whose story it'll be, but I'll be right here, fighting the good fight, one bulldozer, one family, one victory at a time.